All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Eff That Job, the place to air out your workplace grievances, the show about shitty jobs, the people who hate them, and the people who escape them. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Chad.
I'm Rashawn P.
All right, and we're looking forward to getting into this episode this week. This week's episode is real.
Motivational, inspirational.
I was gonna say informational, but is informational a word? It's informational. It's a lot of information in here. All right, get your pens and pads ready. If you interested in working in healthcare, nursing, all of that kind of stuff, especially if you're a young person or an older person and you trying to figure out how to make this work and you're not sure, it's some guidelines and some steps that might help you out in that process here.
Right, because everybody's path is not the same in that, right? Like some
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
go in and some people are like really good at just like academically doing things like, but it's there's a process of going through academically or like in school or different certification programs or different license programs and like to getting to that goal as far as being in the medical field, and
Yeah.
that's an important field because like that's some shit that we all need. Right,
Yeah.
like there's
They building tons of hospital stuff all around Rochester. Every time I turn around, they got some new
U of R type.
new U of R, new whatever hospital RGH stuff popping up. So that means that healthcare is big business. It's required business is necessary. We need it, but that means that they need people to work in these places too. So
Right.
yeah,
So I'm ready to get into it.
let's get into it.
All right.
All right, y'all. We back again with our next guest. Today's guest.
Today's guys, you do that every episode.
Every episode, I do the same thing. So one day we're gonna record multiple guests, so it'll make sense. But we back with today's guest. A lot of, not even a lot, all of our guests so far have been family and friends. This is family right here. This is my first cousin. I was there. I remember seeing her when she was first came out in diapers with no hair. Um, uh, this is my cousin Amahtala. Today I wanted to bring her on the show because like I knew she was a nurse. I didn't know what kind of nurse. I just knew she was a nurse. I knew she worked at healthcare. But it wasn't until recently that I saw she made a Facebook post and she just kind of outlined her whole process of how she went like eventually becoming an RN. All right. So now she's an RN on a cardiac unit, right? Cardiac nurse. Is that what it is, right?
Yeah, the cardiac.
Okay. Oh, and that's the other thing. So before we get into it, you can say, names of employers and all that other stuff. We're gonna bleep everything out, just to be safe. So you can say it, but we're gonna end up bleeping it out at the end.
Okay.
So basically, I'm gonna just on this episode, I just kind of want you to tell your story. We'll kind of jump in and like ask questions and interject here and there, but start from the beginning. Like, when did you know you wanted to be a nurse, and what was that process like to get from where you started to where you are now?
So I feel like I always wanted to be a nurse. Like the, I always had the eager to like help people. I remember growing up, I had a our disabled cousin Messiah.
Mhm.
That was like my biggest thing. I remember our aunt used to like let us flush his tube, do all of this stuff. I remember being 12, like, what in the world is she letting us do all of this stuff for? But I just like genuinely enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed like helping him. So from then on, I always knew I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't really know, the process or like how difficult it was going to be to get here, but I always like knew that this was going to be my plan.
Mhm.
So like throughout high school, I wasn't the best of the student academically. So that I wasn't really prepared for college. I knew going into college that I wanted to be a nurse. I didn't know like the classes I had to take. I didn't do much research on it. I just knew that this was my passion. This is what I wanted to do. So going into college, I was not mentally, financially prepared for college. So I started off going to Alfred State
Hmm.
College. Went there, did not do well at all. I actually ended up getting academically dismissed twice. The first time I went, the first time I got dismissed, I wrote a letter, got back in. The second time they was not having it. They did not let me back in. So I was like so discouraged. I came back to Rochester and I was just like, wow, like what am I gonna do? I'm not in school. So I started just like researching different things that I can do so that I can still be successful. I can still like follow the route to becoming a nurse. Um, Granted, I remember before I ended up going off to Alfred State, my aunt, one of our aunts, is a LP was a LP is a LPN. She told me to go do the LPN program, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to be a registered nurse. I don't want to be a LPN. I don't even know what that is. So I ended up doing my research and seeing like the steps of like going being a CNA, going being an LPN, then going to RN. So I ended up doing the LPN program just to like see if I actually even really liked nursing.
So
Um,
wait, before you go on, because I know I don't know, and I know some people watching probably don't and listening probably won't know. So what's the difference between an LPN, a CNA, and RN? I know RN is like one of the higher ones that you can be, but like everybody be memes on the internet like making fun of CNAs and all that other kind of stuff. But like, what is the difference between the different types of nurses?
And what is the highest one that you could go to? Because like nursing and being a doctor is two different things, I understand.
yeah.
So what is the highest like the highest one that you could get to?
Okay. So like CNA, it's like a certification program. You do like 6 months of training, and then you get your certification. You can work in nursing homes. You can do home care. You can do different stuff like that. LPN is so that's CNA certified nurse assistant. Um, so the next step up from a CNA is a LPN. So LPN is a licensed practical nurse. They work under the RN.
Hmm.
So being an LPN, you can work in nursing homes, you can work in hospitals. It's just a scope of practice that you have to follow. But you are considered a nurse. You don't have a degree, you get a licensure. You have to take an exam
Hmm.
um, to become a LPN. So then registered nurse is more higher. You have to go to college in order to get that degree. You either can get an associate's or a bachelor's. And with the RN role, you're working under a doctor's order.
Okay.
So you're able to do a lot more as a registered nurse.
And then obviously the pay increases with each level, right?
Yes, the pay increases with each level.
All
Okay.
right. So what's
And
the
the workload and the responsibility. And I'm sorry, you were asking me like what's the highest.
yes.
So as a RN, you can become an advanced practice RN. So that's like your MPs. Um, and you can also like as a RN, you can get different certifications and become a little bit more higher.
Okay.
So that's like the
Okay.
steps for going to an RN before you get to like the doctorate.
All right.
Okay, I've always saw that, but I never knew. I knew that CNA was first, and I knew that
Mhm.
beginning in the RN. But after that, all the different letters that started coming, I was kind of always kind of confused as to okay, what level is this? But it's actually it could be just different certifications that you go in
Yeah, different
after.
credentials. Yeah.
Okay, okay, all right.
So you were saying one of our aunts was telling you about the LPN program, so you started doing your research. So what happened? So you out of Alfred,
Mhm.
you came home, was you working a job while you was trying to do the LPN thing? What was happening there?
Yes. So I started before I even applied to the LPN program. I started working at Walmart. I started working at a little sub shop called Jimmy John's, and I was just like, this is not it. Working two jobs. I'm like, I have to do something. Like this is just not it. So I ended up applying to the LPN program. I doing some research. I went to one of the local schools in Rochester and got my LPN, and I actually did really good. I enjoyed the program. I actually did really good, and it was like a big relief from doing so bad at Alfred and then going to the LPN program and really like excelling. So like that like really like showed me that I can do it if I put my mind to it.
Kind of gave you a
Um,
confidence boost after you felt knocked off from
yeah,
like, yeah.
it definitely did. So I ended up doing the LPN program and graduated. The LPN program is only a year, so I graduated and started working at a couple of nursing homes in Rochester. So throughout that program, nursing LPN role is good. It's a lot to it. It's not really much you can do, and I know I wanted to be able to do more. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to just like increase my knowledge base. Um, so while working at the nursing home, I started to go to MCC to finish some of my prereqs because there's prereqs that you have to do in order to even apply to a RN program.
Hmm.
So there's like a certain amount of classes that you have to take in order to apply. So while working at the nursing home, I went to MCC. I was taking prereqs, and life just started to happen. Just started to, get older, more responsibility, more bills, relationships. Then I started to have kids, and it just seemed like it was just always something. So the process of even getting accepted to an RN program took me about like 6 years.
And so that's a long time to have to keep that dream alive while your life is happening to you.
Very, very, very hard. And then it's like the past was still haunting me. Like having to transfer my transcript to different schools and them seeing that bad Alfred State transcript. It was like they were just not having it. I'm just like trying to show them that I'm a different person. I'm older. I'm a different student. Like I can do this. So
Mhm.
like even with sometimes like my academics from NCC had done a lot better, it still was just like the schools were not like seeing the academic dismissal. They were not like really interested in having me as a student.
Yeah.
So I kept just going to MCC, kept taking more classes, just trying to overall raise my GPA. In the meantime, I ended up getting associates from MCC in the process of just taking classes, just trying to raise my GPA. So I
So
eventually did.
can I jump in right quick?
Yeah,
So now you're taking classes just to raise the GPA
to
at
raise
this
the
point?
GPA and to yep, and to just get it accepted into a program.
So that's even like that's more time, that's more money just to try to get to the goal that you have of being an RN. That's more.
Yes.
Okay, that's respect. I respect it. Like to stay down that long to be like, you know what, this is definitely what I want to do. I know, and you were already LPN at that time, right?
I was already LPN,
Or
yes.
you could have just been like, well, I'm good. Yeah, you could have just been like, I'm good being an LPN. I'm straight. Like, there's plenty of people that make a career doing that, but you saw
Exactly.
that that was not the goal for you. You had more in hopes for yourself, so you did what it took, whether that was extra classes and all that other kind of stuff. That's respectable. I fuck with that. I want to take a quick break because this show is F That Job. It is about, you know, saying F That Job. I just want to ask. You said you was working at the sub shop and you was working at the superstore.
Hmm.
At what point in there? Because you already done been dismissed from school academically. You come home, you working two jobs. You working two jobs that you don't obviously don't like because you ended up doing an LPN thing. What was the point working those two jobs? You was like, yo, fuck these jobs. I need to I need to try to go figure out how to be a nurse.
It was just the atmosphere and the conversations with people was just not like motivating. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, coming to work, the conversations was um just drama. And then it was like nobody was motivated to do anything. People were like, so I remember having a conversation with a lady and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is good money. This is a good check." And I'm like, "I don't even have kids. I don't even have a family at this time. And you think this is good money?" Okay. Like no, I was just like, I can't do this. I can't. The atmosphere, everything is just not for me. So I was like, no, I can't be around people that's willing to like settle for whatever. Uh-uh.
All
I was
right.
like, get me out of here.
Okay. So so let's go jump back into it. 6 years to get you to the point where you can get ready to get into school. That's just 6 years to get into school to become an RN. So what was that process like? So did you have you had you had kids at that point, or at what point did so
So,
like take us to the next steps?
so by the time so I was out there so I had my first son probably like I would say like 2.5 years into becoming an LPN. Um, and then let me think. My whole timing is off. Wait a minute. Oh, well, so during pre-req, I had my son, my oldest son. So he was at the time about like 2.5. So I'm taking prereqs, and then I'm probably like close. I'm close to my goal. I probably got a couple more classes to take where I feel like my GPA will be good enough to reapply. Um, and I get pregnant again. And I'm like, what in the world? Like I'm already enrolled for classes this fall. Like, what am I gonna do? So I still continue to go back to MCC, which was also discouraging. Like I don't know, the school is good and everything. It was just that younger kids out there. I was a little bit older. I was pregnant at the time, and it was just like I don't know. I would say hard. That was a hard point of point in my life as well. And then I remember being in one of my chemistry classes, and it seemed like the teacher was like always like picking on me. Always had a comment about like me being pregnant, and I'm just like, lady, leave me alone. So at that point, yes, I was. It was my last semester before I was going to graduate with my associates at MCC, and I ended up applying to some more schools. Like even after I got denied, I made another checklist, and I was just like, okay, these are the schools I'm apply to, even though they denied me before. I'm going to reapply after because I had finished my spring classes and my GPA went up a little bit more. So I know after this semester, once I send my other GPA, I'm in my other transcript, my GPA is going to go up even more. So at this time, it was like fall semester. Sorry, I'm like getting off track. I'm sorry. What was the question again?
No,
Like talking, and I forgot what I was getting at.
Well, let me jump in. Let me just let's get to the F that job point, right?
Uh-huh.
So working in the nursing field, right? I know a
Uh-huh.
lot of people that are in that field, and a lot of people say like it's rewarding. And you started out saying like it was something you always wanted to do. It was rewarding for you.
Uh-huh.
What is the thing that you least like about that field?
Mm. At least like I'm gonna talk about like the nurse at home point of view. I at least like the patient to nurse ratio, the patient to aide ratio. Like I feel like we working in nursing home, I had to pass meds to 20 people.
mm.
20 people. And there's no way I can give the attention and needs to 20 people. Like you can try, but like the patient to nurse ratio is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Even
So
like sometimes you have CNAs working trying to get up 7 people for breakfast in the morning. Like it's just ridiculous.
so in comparison, like working in the hospital, what is like the ratio more so in the hospital?
So right now I work in the ICU. I have the minimum of 2 patients. I can never have more than 2 patients.
Oh wow.
So you went from
Yes,
20. So wait, so
the two.
So, okay, so you went from 20 to 2, right? But you were
Yes,
making less money then and you had a higher workload. And then now
yes.
you like level up, get to the point where you want to be, where your goal was, and then it's dropped by 90%.
Yep.
That's
Granted,
crazy.
more critically ill, but I feel like I was working taking care of 20 patients for so long. I can do this. I can take care of 2 patients. Like this is nothing. They're more critically ill, but like I've been taking care of 20 crazy patients for 6 years. Like I got this.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, so let's jump. I know you was going through the timeline, and I was getting confused. You was getting confused. what? So just tell me about like the final steps to become. So you already in school. Let's skip all through. You already got accepted. You doing your RN program. What's the like final step? So is it just you graduate from the RN program, you become an RN, and then like what's the process like of getting hired at a hospital? So like you was working as an LPN. Like how did you get into like the ICU or whatever that you're working at now?
So the process, so after you graduate from the nursing program, you have to register to take an NCLEX. So NCLEX is like a national exam, and it's either pass or fail. So it's a cumulative of everything that you learn in nursing school. You don't know what questions you're gonna get. You don't know how many questions. You don't know. Like it's so randomized,
Hmm.
but it's a so standardized test. So after that, you take your test and you pass or fail. So I ended up taking my test a couple months after school, passing. But I already had a job prior to passing. So after I graduated from school, I knew I wanted to go to the ICU. So I applied to Strong well, I applied to a hospital and I got an interview with the unit that I wanted to go to. So I went and I shadowed for a couple hours just to see if it was something that I would be more interested in. And then I had an interview with the manager, and he ended up liking me and sending an offer in. So
Nice.
you basically go through like a recruiter, and you kind of see where you want to go, what you're interested in, and they kind of plug you into different sections, and then you apply.
Okay, cool. So, what was that feeling like when you walk onto the unit your first day of being an RN? Do you get like, is it like a movie? You get the montage in your head, like the flashback to all the like nights crying over homework and
Yeah.
like trying to raise two kids and like, leaving Alfred, like having to drive back to do all of that come into your head as you walking on the unit the first day?
Yes, and it's still like surreal because I'm like, how did I? This is what I wanted, and I got here. Like, how did I get here? Like, I know I got here, but how did I get here? Like, I thought it was. It seemed so impossible at the time.
Yeah.
It seemed so impossible, and to just make it happen is like, wow. Like,
It was a
I
long
could do.
grind, but you stuck with it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I feel like, yeah, I didn't have a choice. Like, it's like those promises you make to yourself that you got to do it.
All right. So we gonna wrap up pretty soon here, but I want to ask like I got one last question I want to ask. I don't know if you got anything else you want to ask Rashawn, but what would be the big out of your whole story, your whole process? If you could tell somebody one thing, like one piece of advice, one gem, one jewel to drop on people about your process or how they can achieve their goal, whether they want to be a nurse or they want to be something else, what would that one thing be?
I would say the main thing would be put God first. Um, Never give up on yourself and your dreams. There's always a plan B to make your plan A work regardless. And I'll always say, like, talk to people. I a lot of things I learned was from talking to people, like just asking questions from people that are where you want to be. So I remember just talking to like different nurses that were in programs, and just talking to RNs at my job and seeing how they did it. Just talk to people. Sometimes people are really willing to help you or give you information that could put you in a better state. So those would be like my three big tips. Put God first, never give up on yourself, and network, talk to people, communicate.
Okay, and I got one last question for you. So, obviously it was a long grind, like, like we said, like you stuck to it. What's next for you? What's the next
But
professional growth or professional development for you and your career?
So my program right now, well, the program I graduated from was an associate's program. So you can either go to like MCC, GCC. Those are all associate programs. I went to Finger Lakes Health, so that was an associate-based program. So my next step right now, I'm um, at Brockport right now, trying to get my BSN. Well, going to get my BSN by next year.
No.
And then after that, I plan on continuing to just work in the ICU and just get my critical care skills up. And then I eventually want to apply and become a certified nurse anesthesiologist.
Okay, cool. So just to piggyback on what you just said and Rashawn question. So having having your associates and getting your bachelor's, that means that your pay will go up, and then obviously the more education you get, you probably can garner more pay from where you're working at, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. All right, bet. So if I call you and ask you for $5, I'm gonna expect that cash app right away.
I got you. I got anything for the family.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. I'm 100% sure that it's gonna help somebody out there. Whether it's telling them, encouraging them to stay on the path that they grind, or if it's teaching them how to get to become a nurse like you became a nurse. All right.
I hope so.
All
I
right.
really do. I hope so.
All right. Well, thank you again for calling
Yeah,
in.
thank you for coming on.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. All right, y'all. So, like we said, a lot of good information in there. A good, that felt like a Lifetime movie. Real like a real heartwarming story she told there. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of, I don't know, just a lot of good information there. A lot of information about how to stick to your goals, stick to your dreams, even when times get tough.
Is informational a word?
It's gonna be a word for this episode. We're gonna put that in the subheading. Whatever the episode name is, informational.
But maybe it's information and inspirational.
Yeah,
So it's
there you go.
informational.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I don't want to say that no more before we got trademark that.
Yeah, we're gonna trademark informational. But yeah, no, another good episode in the books.
Yeah, I think that was really important as far as like that field, you know, and I want to hear, I'm sure we're going to hear more callers from that field
Yeah,
and talk about their different experiences because like I said in the beginning, like, you know, a lot of people's path is different in that field. Like,
yeah,
you know, working ICU and then working nursing home, but some people are working like, you know, maybe hospice care, some
yeah.
people are working, you know, all different type of things. So
Okay, yeah,
but I appreciate it. A lot of gems and a lot of inspirational and informational gems that we got in there.
for
So
real.
definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, but that's it for this week. Make sure that y'all commenting. You know, nurses, uh, L, LPNs, CNAs, RNs, PAs, doctors, whatever. In the comments, tell us y'all stories about how y'all got to where y'all at. You know what I'm saying? If y'all got an excuse me, informational story to tell it to us in those comments. You know what I'm saying? On Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, what is this on? YouTube, everything. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for the notifications, all that good stuff.
And y'all know, if you ain't feeling it, call in. Use your PTO.
Use your PTO and F with us.